Novel title, Hail the King. Chapter 12, It's Him. Although no one knew what kind of a face was under that helmet, this man definitely gained the trust and respect from the soldiers. After seeing Fei lost the fight, Brooke and a few other brave soldiers sprinted towards Fei, ready to sacrifice their own lives to protect this man, who single-handedly saved Chambord Castle from the enemy siege today. Swordsman Landis was a 3-star warrior as well, but he knew that he had an advantage. The opponent's terrifying dragon-like strength struck him during the collision. His right arm that held his sword felt numb, and he had a hard time breathing. Worst of all, the collision had sent him mid-air southwest. He had no place to step on to regain his momentum. But Landis didn't stop there. He flung his left wrist and a hook flew out. It was a similar hook that the previous enemy used. After it locked onto the battlement, he forcefully pulled the string and the momentum sent him back onto the defensive wall. Brooke and the other soldier who were trying to help couldn't move an inch closer towards the explosive energy and pressure. Landis' energy empowered his weapon again. With red flames on the sword, he pierced towards Fei. He decided to teach this trash a deadly lesson, that he shouldn't mess with a 3-star warrior. The soldiers and defenders were terrified. Everyone thought that Fei was going to die for sure. However, Bastard, that's all you got. Fei slightly tilted his body, not trying to dodge at all. As if he was so scared that he forgot to move, the sword went through his shoulder easily. However, Fei immediately roared like a wounded lion. Barbarian's war cry. The mysterious power appeared again right after the roar. Landis was stunned. He felt really scared. He never felt this way before. It caused the energy in his body to freeze for a second. Behind the opponent's helmet, Landis saw eyes filled with craziness. These eyes represented death. Die. Dumbass. Fei concentrated his strength into this one punch and aimed at Landis' chest. Landis' mind wasn't clear because he was affected by Howl. Although he felt danger, he wasn't able to dodge this punch. The enormous force didn't give him any chance. He was punched back instantly and blood spurted out of his mouth. His body smashed onto the battlement and broke it. Both of them fell off of the defense wall. His sword was still stuck on Fei's shoulder. Although Landis had the energy of a 3-star warrior, after getting hit by this power punch, the damage to his body was enormous. His was filled with shock and disbelief as he was falling down. He struggled to fling out his hook, eventually being secured onto the defense wall. He pulled on it, canceling out the acceleration he was experiencing from falling down and landed safely. Although he was injured, falling through the defense wall wasn't enough to kill him. He looked to the top of the defense wall, hesitated for a bit, then decided to temporarily retreat. He felt a call from the Grim Reaper when he was punched. Although that man's power was far lower than his, the craziness and the will for battle made him lose the courage to fight that man again. On the defense wall, the way that the soldiers looked at Fei, who still had the sword stuck on his shoulder, completely changed. Respect, unimaginable madness, worship. They looked at him as if he was a god of war. Even the 3-star warrior Lampard, who had finally recovered a little bit from the indiscernible injury, stared at Fei with respect and seriousness. After the series of attacks between Fei and Landis, only Lampard could clearly see what kind of a warrior this Iron Man was. At this point, the question on everyone's mind was, who is he? Who could he be? Everybody asked themselves, under the helmet dyed with the blood of the enemy, what kind of a face does he have? Fei raised his arm. Every tiny action of Fei was observed to the absolute smallest detail by the people of Chambord. He placed his left hand on the handle of Landis' sword, that was still stuck on his right shoulder. He bit his teeth and pulled it out. An arrow of blood shot out the metal armor. Some people couldn't resist and yelled as if they were the one who was pierced. Fei didn't shake or make any noise. He made it look painless and simple, which yet again stunned the numerous observers. Fei took a long breath after he pulled the sword out. The immediate pain made him dizzy for a while, but he held himself together really well, so no one could see it. After the pain and dizziness passed, he took off his helmet slowly. This scene was even slower in the eyes of the soldiers and defenders. It was like a slow-motion action film for them. It only took a second, but it seemed like a decade in the observers' eyes. Finally, the mystery was unveiled. They saw the face under that helmet. His black hair was dripping wet and was stuck onto his forehead, and his thick eyebrows and his shining smile had made his face even more handsome. He is. The soldiers on the defense wall had forgotten how to breathe and speak, as if they had just stared at Medusa. 3-star warrior Lampard was a very serious person, but now his mouth was wide open, not knowing what to say. The second commander of the King's Guards, Brooke, and the other few directors kept wiping their eyes. They couldn't believe that they saw They all thought they were too tired and were seeing thing. It was King Alexander. Impossible. To tell the truth, before Fei took off his helmet, everyone was guessing who this warrior might be. But after considering everyone, even including the homeless and the beggars at Chambord, no one would expect to see the face of their king. The famous retard King Alexander. This was the man who was the absolute shame to Chambord for the past 3 years. It's him. But how could it be? It was deathly silent on the defense wall. The shock that Fei gave to the defenders from taking off his helmet was 10 times stronger than the shock he gave them when he destroyed the 2 1-star warriors and injured the 3-star warrior Landis. After 4 minutes of silence, someone finally accepted reality and yelled, "It's King Alex. Alexander. It's King Alexander." This yell had woken everyone up. Everyone finally believed what they had seen, and they were all red-faced and yelled in excitement. God. It really is King Alexander. It really is King Alexander. King Alexander saved us. Hail King Alexander.